Welcome to our podcast, Kawps The Podcast. Me, Joffer, we got Ashton.
You said that like a fucking alien. Like a clone. Welcome to our podcast. What the fuck?
It's our podcast, and welcome to it. And it's, Kawps The Podcast, police news, weekly police news updates. And we try to throw in some ha-has in the mix as well, the best we can.
That shit is tough.
Yes.
That shit is hard.
And before we get into ha-has, we get into the real not ha-has, which is the headline roundup of the week, here to give you a little snapshot of some of the horrors that have taken place in America this past week involving the police. So let's start it out. A cop in Henderson, Texas, fatally shot an unarmed man during a traffic stop. R.I.P. Timothy Randall.
Cops in Alabama tase a man experiencing a non-violent mental health episode who later died in the hospital. R.I.P. John Daniel Scott Jr.
Cops who killed an unarmed man sitting on a park bench after mistaking his identity will not face any charges. R.I.P. Dylan Sybeck.
Cops in Spokane Valley, Washington are facing a lawsuit for mistaking a man's identity, assaulting him, and then charging him with assaulting an officer.
Cop in Toms River, New Jersey broke into her ex-boyfriend's house, assaulted him and the woman he was with, and threatened to burn down the house.
Cop in Belmont, California, arrested for sexual assault.
Cop in Fontana, California, accused of sexual assault.
Jail cop in Philly charged with sexual assault.
Cop in California indicted for abusive sexual contact.
Cop in Walker County, Texas, arrested for child sex crimes.
Cop in Apache Nation, New Mexico, arrested for sexually abusing her children.
Cop in Piscataway, New Jersey, charged with child sexual misconduct.
Cop in Beaufort, South Carolina, charged with child sexual misconduct.
Cop in Minnesota, charged with sexual assaulting an infant.
Border cop in Michigan charged with possession of child sex abuse material.
Cop in Minnesota charged with production of child sex abuse material.
Cop in Philly pleads guilty to the distribution of child sex abuse material.
Cop in St. Louis drags a wheelchair-bound cancer survivor out of her chair and throws her on the ground.
Cops in Seattle throw two young Muslim women on the ground after a man falsely accuses them of having a gun.
Cop in Michigan hit a pedestrian with his cruiser outside of the murder trial of Christopher Schur, the cop who fatally shot Patrick Loyola.
Damn. Yeah.
Every week. God
every
damn.
week. You got to shake
It's
it
like-
off. Yeah.
I never read something that's just trauma.
Yeah.
It's just dark.
It is. It's speed running
It's just,
trauma every week.
It goes through my spine every time. Fuck.
Yeah, and
But-
a little note on the last one, it's almost like a twofer because it's like the trial of Christopher Schur has just started. Cop murdered Patrick Loyola. Sorry if I'm mispronouncing his name. He's a Congolese immigrant. This was making headlines like 2-3 years ago, if you don't remember. Basically, cop pulls over Patrick Loyola. He tries running away. They have a physical confrontation on the ground where Patrick seems to be reaching for his taser. In that confrontation, the cop shoots Patrick in the back of the head. So it was, that's what it was. It was terrible. And the murder trial has just started for this cop. And, maybe we'll cover it at some point in more detail. We're not doing it this episode, but the headline wasn't even about that. The headline is about a cop who hit a pedestrian outside the murder trial with his car. And apparently most of the people gathering outside of the trial are like Blue Lives Matter people who are supporting this cop who shot a man in the back of the head. So
they're just like,
tells you a lot about America right there.
They just can't stop killing people. Damn, we can't even have a trial about you killing people.
Exactly.
Without y'all killing people outside of the trial.
Exactly.
Damn.
So that was a little snapshot of the week. We'll be going into a couple of those stories in more detail, but the rundown of today's episode, we'll be talking about that New Jersey cop who broke into her ex's house to torment him and his new girlfriend. We'll be talking about multiple instances of entire police departments resigning. We got a little story of newer AI horrors, this time coming out of New York City's MTA, the transit. And we will be discussing in more detail the tragic death of John Daniel Scott Jr. coming out of Alabama just this past week.
And on the Patreon, $5 a month. Check us out. We're going to be talking about the very made-up epidemic of organized shoplifting and the very real new surveillance equipment U.S. police gained from it. So, yeah, check it out.
That'll be an interesting little Patreon episode. So, yeah, just $5 a month gets you a bonus Patreon episode every week. That's about 4 episodes every week for $5. And while you're here, like and comment, give us 5 stars. And I want to especially say, please comment, because you know what I noticed? Like, I remember last week I went on a little tirade. I was like, do not only talk to us in our Patreon. If you're outside our Patreon giving us comments, we don't even read that shit. You know, I shouldn't have said that, because I noticed on our YouTube videos where people comment a lot, the people who watch the full episodes who we love, they didn't comment.
No, we need that.
Because of my psychopathic tirade I went on.
Start a race war in the comments, please. We need
Well, the comments on our YouTube, the full episodes, are very nice. These are the people who are taking the time to listen to the full episode. I was more referring to the Instagram video clip comments I get. Because those are the people who just come across in their algorithm, us like talking about police brutality. And they're like, well, what the hell is this guy talking about? What the hell is it? I was more so talking about those comments. We don't read. But the nice comments on our full videos, we do appreciate.
We like them.
I didn't mean to silence our supporters.
Scaring the hose.
That's what I'm doing. Yeah, my bad. But anyways, let's start. We'll be starting with more of a. We'll just start with this. New Jersey. I'm reading from NewJersey.com. The off-duty Toms River police officer charged in a home invasion broke into the home of her former boyfriend and also threatened to burn down the house, authorities allege. So, relatable. Rebecca Sayeg, 32, of Toms River, is charged with home invasion, burglary, terroristic threats, resisting arrest, 2 counts of assault, and 2 counts of criminal mischief. Damn. AKA got charged with what? Having a damn broken heart? I mean, come on. Is that a crime these days? Is terroristic threats a crime now?
That Lil Wayne Mrs. Officer song aged horribly.
Yeah, it really did.
You got to remix that, man. Add a new verse.
Yeah.
Shit went,
Yeah, it's her. It's this lady and Kamala Harris. Two Miss Officers making headlines. Both, not doing great.
Yeah, not doing the fucking.
Both having bad years
for lady officers.
Yeah.
Damn. I'm gonna let you finish.
It's a short little excerpt here. The complaint says that Sayeg used a baton to smash the front door glass and enter the home in the Bayville section of Berkeley at around 11:20 p.m. Friday. She began arguing with her former boyfriend and a woman who was at the house. Nice. The verbal dispute turned physical when Sayeg began pushing and shoving the man and woman, authorities said. One suffered swelling to the eye. That ended up being the woman that he was with. Both victims restrained Sayeg in the living room before she, quote, broke free. She's broken free. Smashed items in the house and knocked pictures off the wall.
Yeah, that's how you know you're dealing with a crime.
Yeah, dude.
Anytime you use the word broke free.
Broke free because they had to restrain her.
She's loose. She's loose.
Yeah, dude. Is this an ex-girlfriend or The Exorcist? It sounds like she's possessed by the devil. They had to tie her up.
The fact that anytime she just can't be alone. If she's like alone, that's actually her just being loose. No, you gotta hold her down. You gotta restrain.
She's breaking all our picture frames. They're swirling through the air while she's broken free and is floating upside down with her head spinning.
No,
it's terrifying stuff. Is what I'm trying to say here. Sayeg also tried to fight with responding officers and physically resisted being arrested. She made the threat about burning the house down as police walked her down the driveway.
Damn, that's real crazy. That's TLC.
That's pretty hard.
That's what's her name? The girl who died at TLC. She
Left Eye.
Left Eye. She burned her boyfriend's house down.
Ooh, that's
Lisa
damn.
Left Eye. Yeah, it was called. It was very famous.
Damn.
Very famously burned her boyfriend's house down.
She followed through on her terroristic threats.
Yeah.
I respect that.
But I feel nothing for this man. Like I say, I always have the same rule. If you date an officer, if you're dating a cop, you get what you deserve.
Yeah.
I don't know how
This
else
is
to put
Ashton.
this.
Ashton.
I just genuinely,
Yeah.
like that blue flag is a red flag. That is stop fucking
Yeah.
with that shit, bro. What are you doing?
Yeah. This is Ashton's one consistent exception to victim blaming. Wait, the victim was dating a cop?
You
Whoa.
listen, bro.
The victim professed his love to who?
Also, I listen, not to be on some 1998 BET Comic View comedy, but
It's okay.
women are detectives.
Yeah.
Women are already detectives. So
Sure.
the last one you need to date is the actual detective of the detectives. Like, that's the last thing you need
Sure,
to be.
yeah.
Like, okay, what's it? A crazy girlfriend will key your car.
Mhm.
That's okay. I'm willing for that. I don't need you to plant drugs in
But
my
give
shit.
that crazy girlfriend a badge and a gun.
Yeah, she's gonna plant drugs in your car. She's gonna up the ante.
Yeah.
We're gonna, yeah.
Or at the very least, you give her a badge and a gun. Like when you got that badge and a gun, you get to really live out your most base instincts.
Yeah.
And that would include breaking into your ex's home to see if they're
Yeah.
hanging out with someone new.
Yeah.
And when they are, just destroying the house in
Yeah.
front of them.
Yeah.
They got to tie you up. You break
I
free.
mean, this is all metaphorical, but it's real. Like when they call it your gut instinct, you like you're shooting from literally shooting
Yeah.
from the hip, that type of shit where you're just moving from the stomach, the gut,
Yeah.
but you never use your brain. It's like, well, that's why
Yeah.
you.
That's what a
move the
gun and
motion.
a badge gives you. It's
Yeah.
like you don't have to
use
use your brain
You're
anymore.
shooting, this is your brain is your. Actually, your brain is a second stomach. It's I don't know if you know this, the gut microbiome. No.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah.
No,
You've been
but
learning a lot from.
You should use your real brain.
Yeah.
You should don't use your micro colony as a
Yeah.
fucking brain.
So this story was probably at this point like 7 days, like about a week ago. But we got an update on our girl over here using the same source, NJ.com. The 32-year-old Toms River police officer charged in a home invasion at her former boyfriend's Beechwood house last month has been released from jail. A judge ruled Friday Rebecca Sayeg will spend at least a month in an out-of-state rehabilitation facility that treats law enforcement officers experiencing mental health issues as a condition of a release.
Damn.
Bro, that's why if you're a regular person and you do a home invasion, that's
You
some
don't get
serious consequences right there.
rehab.
But if you're a cop, you just go to fucking rehab.
Cop rehab.
Rehab is supposed to be for crack and heroin, not
Yeah.
for crimes that you commit or for activities that harm yourself.
And I would say she doesn't need a rehab. She just needs to rebound. Get you a new man. It's time to move on.
Yeah. The rehab is for you don't do like an intervention on your friends like, hey, we're really worried about you with all these home invasions you've been doing lately. We've been worried about you. You're just not yourself when you're doing home invasions. We're checking you into a home invasion rehab facility.
Yeah, I can tell you're hungry. You've been doing a lot of home invasions.
And just the fact that there's such a thing as a cop rehab facility and you get sent there for doing home invasions on your ex-boyfriend.
Terrorizing people. And you're using cop shit for your fucking situationship. Get the fuck out of here. No, you cannot submit your boyfriend, the lipstick on your boyfriend's collar to forensics. This is not
exactly.
This is not for that. I don't.
Yeah, they're all the cops are sitting there in their circle talking about their lowest moments. My lowest moment is when I wouldn't lift up my knee. Now I'm here.
Yeah.
Now I'm here. It's like you killed a guy.
Well, I guess that is one way. Instead of arguing with your girl, you dating a cop, you just take a knee. And she's like, oh, bitch. I know how to win this argument. Just take a knee. My only weakness.
Damn. Well, shout out to whatever her name is, Rebecca Sayeg.
Sure.
Hope you get better in
Shout out
rehab,
to-
girl.
Sure, yeah. shout
We're
out.
praying for you.
Or jail time, one or the other.
Yeah. All right, next story we got. This is not a fun one.
No, god damn it.
This is a rough one.
Yeah, this is not a good story at all, folks. We're going to Decatur, Alabama via NBC. Black man who was tasered and left hospitalized after an arrest earlier this month, has died, and his family is demanding justice and accountability. John Daniel L.J. Scott Jr., 39, died Tuesdays from his injuries sustained in April 15th arrest by the Decatur Police Department, his family lawyers say. Decatur police responded to a 911 call on April 15th, placed by Scott's mother, who requested assistance due to a mental health crisis involving her son, police said. The officer spent nearly an hour engaging with Scott before clearing the scene without incident, police said. Then later that same day at 8:15 p.m., officers were dispatched to a disturbance call at Brookridge Apartments and found Scott, who was observed in the parking lot, sweating heavily and exhibiting erratic behavior. So in this day, April 15th, the cops were called twice. The first time they were called because his mom was like, "Oh my God, my son's having a mental health episode." They sent cops. I was looking into it. The first time they cleared the scene, but nothing. They didn't have any mental health professionals on the scene. They didn't send him to he was having a mental health episode. He didn't get help for his mental health. It was just like they just quelled the scene and then moved on, and then had to come back later that night when he was reported being seen sweating, talking erratically. I saw the body cam footage. He was going through a completely a super mental health episode. He was completely discoherent. He was saying numbers. He just kept going 670, 116, and he was being very friendly. He was scared. There was no aggression at all. He was backed up in the body cam. I'll keep reading let me continue reading. Mortgage County EMS was immediately requested after they found him sweating heavily and exhibiting erratic behavior. Officers were notified that Scott had an active warrant out of Morgan County, and officers encouraged him to voluntarily board the ambulance for a mental health evaluation and care, which he refused. Body camera footage released April 18th shows the officers spent about 20 minutes trying to get Scott to enter the ambulance, which they did. But can I just say this? Like I said, I saw the footage. This dude. He's sweating. He is scared. He's scared, nervous, and they have him. If the ambulance is they're on ambulance, this dude, it's 8 cops circling him, trying to kettle him into the ambulance. And there's 2 EMS workers there. They're trying to get. They're older ladies trying to talk him in, trying to be sweet. And then there's the cops who are just okay, just turn around. And he's going through a mental health episode. He's sweating, freaking out. He clearly can't communicate well, and they're just he's having a panic attack, and they're just cornering him, pressing in on him, come on, go, as if that doesn't incite more panicked behavior to be pushed into a ambulance. And like I said, the article says, he does have a warrant, so you don't know what was going through his mind or the cops' minds, because they're there saying they're supposed to be there to help him get in this ambulance so you can, we can get you some help. But the officer's he has a warrant. So it's does he know he has a warrant? Is he scared he's going to go to jail? Is he probably, there's a lot of things that are going on in his mind. And the cops aren't, if they're there for mental health, they are literally, he's asking for water. He's well,
yeah. I mean, this is a great, sorry to cut you off. But that's what I wanted to touch on as well, was the cops that's one of their many responsibilities that they're not equipped for. We always talk about this all the time, what police are actually trained to do versus what they are in real practice dealing with. And in real practice, much of what they're dealing with is people who need mental health professionals in front of them. And this is what we see here. He's going through a mental health episode. Like you said, he's saying things that don't make sense. Another thing you said that I want to touch on again is that he was friendly. He was very polite.
He was saying sorry. They slammed him to the ground, and he was saying sorry. He was like, I'm sorry, 617. I'm so sorry. Please, no, sir. He was being friendly the entire time. It's I don't mean to infantilize this guy, but he's having a mental health episode. He was just a sweet dude.
Yes.
From the little interaction you just see a guy scared. He's I'm sorry. I don't want to he's apologizing profusely. He's shaking cops. He's literally, thank you, officer. Thank you, officer. Thank you. He's clearly having a mental health episode.
And not that we need I don't want to do we're not doing the whole perfect victim thing, you know, not that he needs to be nice to not be killed, but it was just such a clear example of cops not being able to be equipped. And the warrant this guy had for his arrest was not even something violent. It was like something, not showing up to court for something nonviolent. Now he's got a warrant out for his arrest. Now he's going through a mental health episode. Cops are involved, and they're telling him, get in the ambulance now. It's been 20 minutes, and the police do not have the patience that a mental health professional would have. They don't have the tools to get this guy to check himself in. So they grow impatient, and next thing you know, they're grabbing him, they're throwing him down on the ground, and then we don't have to go through the rest of this article, but longer story shorter.
Well, no, they're like beating him. They're
punching him. They're tasing him.
What happens is he's being cornered. They're cornering him slowly and surely. As they're like getting him closer and closer to the door, he's like falling on the steps of the door, like of the ambulance. There's steps to get into the ambulance, and he's falling on them. And like in his falling, you can hear him be like, oh fuck, my back. Like he's like the simple fall was injuring him. Like he was like, oh, my back. So his man seemed to be like already in pain from just whatever physical ailment he might have just already had. So he's like, my back. And he falls from the chair, from the steps of the ambulance to the ground. And then that's when they start wrestling with him, and he's scared. He's like, no. They're just the whole time, they're trying to get his arms behind his back. And then that's when they're tasing him. They're punching him. He's like, they punch him right in the shoulder blade right here. And they're like, they go from like, talking to him and like communicating with him to now it's shut the fuck up. I'm gonna punch you in the face. Do you want me to punch you in your fucking face? You start punching him in the face. His response, I'm sorry, but panicked and scared.
He says, I can't breathe. They say, yes, you can. Yeah. That's the type of, that's what cops do, So they tase him, they beat him, they take him to jail. Yeah. From jail, he's taken to the hospital where he dies. R.I.P. to Daniel Scott Jr., tragically killed this last week. But we got to move on with kind of a slew of stories here. To first, Velda City, Missouri, reading from First Alert 4. The former police chief and city administrator of Velda City, Missouri, was indicted Thursday on multiple counts of wire fraud. Daniel Polino, 51, was indicted in U.S. District Court in St. Louis on 3 accounts of wire fraud. Polino is being accused of stealing $313,420 in city funds. Mayor of Velda City, Derek Gill, says he took over after Polino left his job, but he quickly realized the city's finances were out of whack. When the board of aldermen didn't want to investigate, he says he called the FBI. If we didn't do something soon, we'd be in bankruptcy. So at that point, I had to make a move. So it sounds like that. Obviously, this happened before he was caught with the stealing money from the city. Paulino's last day with the city was a bit of a spectacle as all officers, including Polino, abruptly quit. Quote, we literally couldn't afford the police anymore, said Gill. Velda City now contracts with Pagedale Police, all these small towns, but Gill said they could only afford 12 hours of coverage per day. Quote, what? 12 hours? We need somebody to help with 24 hours, said Gill. I love all this small town nonsense.
Yeah. Cops got the same operating hours as Dunkin' Donuts.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
So it seems like this is another classic, the type of local news articles we read where you kind of have to read between the lines to fully make sense of the narrative of what happened. So I'm going to be doing a little bit of that, so I could be wrong, but it seems like, based on this little information that we have, that the police chief left, the mayor had to temporarily take over his job, realized the funds were all out of whack. Then that led to the FBI getting involved, which that led to realizing the police chief was funneling funds out of the city, and that's why they are pretty much bankrupt. And so once that came into light, that somehow led to not only the police chief, but also his entire officers resigning, not being fired, resigning. And to me, and again, I'm doing a little read between the lines, but to me, that seems that the police were like had their bosses back.
Yeah.
If they're all resigning with him.
Was he paying their bonuses from that $331,000?
Yeah, maybe like we don't really quite. That wasn't listed in like the paper trail yet. But
so basically, the police chief gets caught stealing from the city, like open, just blatant,
funneling money out of the ceiling.
Caught red-handed. Evidence is all there. They're like, he did this, and he's like stealing, like it's like going on trips and bullshit. And the cops, instead of being like, our leaders, he's corrupt, they were like, we stand with the nigga stealing from the city.
Exactly.
Okay,
yeah.
right,
I mean,
cool.
we don't know. That's what it seems like. That's what it seems like.
So, okay, then the other option you're saying is they just all happen to be like,
all happen to just quit. Yeah, that's the other option.
That's crazy. We were all going to quit.
We were all about to quit. Oh, you're quitting too? Let's all quit together.
What a coincidence. I actually was quitting with
Yeah.
Come on, bro.
Exactly, right? Now they're like, oh, what are we going to do? We only have cops for 12 hours a day now. I love this topic, and you love this topic too. We were talking about it earlier today. When entire police departments quit. This happens more often than you might think. And I love it when it happens, because when it happens, it like people get panicked when they hear about that. They're like, oh my God, what's going to happen? Is it going to just be chaos in the streets without a police stopping everyone from just killing and raping each other? And the answer to that is no. Actually, things kind of just go along fine. And it's funny because a lot of times when the entire police departments quit, they do it in like a spiteful way. They do it. They're like, oh, you're not going to let us have overtime and take our trip to Bahamas? Well, guess what? We're all going to quit. And then you'll see what the thin blue line, what lurks on the other side, the chaos and the violence that our badges suppress every day. And then it turns out that people just kind of behave as they normally do, and that crime, the root of crime is not whether or not there's a threat of police. The root of crime is more, Who would have thought?
Damn it! Well, I thought we were keeping the bad guys at bay this entire time. It's like the bad guys are like bankers and fucking No, I just think it's crazy they have 12 hours of police. That's like
if I will say, if I was a criminal in this small town, I would rearrange my schedule a little bit.
What?
If it's cops, if we have cops, but like I know when they're off.
That's what but I read the article. That's what a lady said. A lady said when the cops are off, they're like, people are stealing from right across the street, the police department. Yeah. They're like, she was like, they're stealing cars from across the street of the police department, which is, if you are a criminal,
that's hilarious.
Yeah, that's what it said in the article.
That's the thing. The having a bunch of cops versus having no cops. You know, like you know, no cops is like, okay, we don't got cops. But the worst scenario is only having cops half the time. Yeah. Because then you know that like if you're a criminal, there is an obvious time to do your crimes.
Yeah. You call, or if you're fuck a criminal, what about like the victims of crimes? They're like, they get victimized and they call 911 and then it's like, oh fuck, I forgot it's Sunday.
It's like Chick-fil-A.
Yeah, they're like, I forgot Sundays, they're not open.
Yeah. Because if it's no cops, then you're like, all right, we could fend for ourselves. We look out for each other. We're neighbors. If it's cops half the time, then it's like, all right, fuck, we got to make sure that Sergeant Johnson is not off the clock.
I just, that's crazy. 12 hours of protection is crazy. It's I heard Big Sean rap about that one time, and I was just like, how does that work? How do you only have... I guess that's like one of them really small. The smaller your town, the more your police, the hours of your police are determined by like a sheriff. It's like, well, the sheriff can only physically work from like 8 to 12. The nigga need to sleep. Yeah. So that's when crimes work. It's like old time. It's like back in like when westerns, when the sheriff was just two dudes and they would just sleep in the same building and like
they're roommates with all the jail, everyone in jail. Like
they had to like physically watch all the criminals. So if you is there more people doing crime?
It's like they're only friends.
We only got one jail cell, so if there's more than two people doing crime, we're a little fucked. But this is a unfortunate situation. Also, like, didn't they have to like bring in another?
No, that's something else. So so let's go on to what we really want to talk about here, which is a story that has a lot of twists and turns that relates. It involved an entire department quitting in a small town. Now, this story originally happened right before the end of last year, right before we started this podcast. We never really got to talk about it, but it does. When I was researching this, it does have like a little update that I didn't know about. But I want to preface this by saying, we're not a true crime podcast. Like, even though it's a lot of true crimes that cops commit.
Even though we definitely put true crime in the SEO just to get that algorithm.
That's Ashton. That's the YouTube. I'm not in charge of the YouTube.
We are not a true crime part.
But we're not. And what I mean, the reason why I bring that up is like, we're not trying to like solve mysteries that like, or do all that sort of editorializing of like what really happened here. Yeah. But occasionally we will have a story like that. Like we had the story of the sheriff who killed that judge, and we're like, what? Why did he kill the judge? We don't really know.
Sometimes we're just saying. Sometimes you just say a story that's like, here are all the interconnected pieces, and then by the time you get to the end, you're like, oh.
Exactly. Yeah.
I'm not no detective.
Yeah. Exactly.
I think this is I think they killed that guy.
Yeah. Exactly. But, so this will be a kind of a story like that. So first, we're going to go to the original story. McColl, South Carolina, Fox 9. South Carolina mayor died in a head-on vehicle crash while being pursued by law enforcement just days after his town's entire police department quit. Shit. A coroner said. I'm going to read that again. A South Carolina mayor died in a head-on vehicle crash while being pursued by law enforcement just days after his entire police department quit, the coroner said. McColl Mayor George Garner II, 49, was killed Tuesday afternoon when the vehicle he was driving collided head-on with a truck in Mechanicsville, according to Darlington County Coroner Todd Hardy. So, okay, when the incident occurred, Mr. Garner was being pursued by a Marlborough County deputy. So it's a deputy, different from the police department that quit. This is the deputy, which is obviously he works for the sheriff's office, but the sheriff's office seems to have also jurisdiction over this same area that the department had. Department quit. Deputy was chasing the mayor. The pursuit was, now that's still the coroner talking in the same quote. The pursuit was not related to any laws being broken. The pursuit was taking place in an effort to protect the well-being of Mr. Garner.
What?
Yeah. This is exactly like what I'm trying to say here. It's like, look, we're not no detectives. We're not a true crime podcast. But what the fuck was that?
Say it again.
He said that the pursuit, the reason why the mayor was being chased by the sheriff's deputy was not related to any laws being broken. So he's saying the mayor did not break any laws. The pursuit was taking place in an effort to protect the well-being of Mr. Garner. We were just trying to help him.
Yeah, I love it when cops give us excuses that they wouldn't take themselves. It's just like,
exactly.
No, officer, I wasn't chasing that woman. I was trying to protect her.
Yeah.
You see how stupid you sound?
He literally says no laws were being broken.
We were just
trying to help him out.
You ever play tag before?
Yeah.
He was it. He was it. That's all.
We were trying to let him know that he left his oven on at home.
Oh, my God.
That's why we were in a high-speed pursuit with him, and then he crashed and died.
Vince Gilligan-ass plot, bro.
Yes. And I want to point out, the person who is saying this, again, is the coroner. And not some private, like, outside coroner, the county coroner. So this is some real small town shit. The county coroner is out here. He's the one telling us that the pursuit had nothing to do with any laws being broken. It had to do with the well-being of the mayor. Why the fuck is the coroner telling us
That's
this?
so mysterious.
It is.
What is going on?
That's
here,
all
man?
we're saying is that this shit is mysterious. And to me, this is the big question. I was research. To me, I couldn't find to this day. That question has not been answered of why the mayor was being chased by the deputy.
We
still don't know why.
We need one of you adventurous whites to go out
Yes.
and get to the bottom of this.
Yes.
You know, like a woman in a power. So you know how like
yes, a better funded podcast that has a cool like little true crime music in the background.
We
while
need
you talk
y'all
about
to get to the bottom.
What really happened here?
Physically go there. Be protected by your main character plot armor and go and figure out, get to the bottom of why the coroner is doing fucking PR for the police.
Yeah.
Everything's normal. No need to look into the mayor's what? Why is the coroner telling us not to look into the mayor's death? Hell no. Something smells fishy.
So,
hell no.
So all right, let's go on. The fatal crash happened after the police force in McColl, a town of about 2,000 residents. It's always a town like this where some fucking weird ass horror movie shit goes on. Try that in a small town type shit. Try being a mayor alive in a small town. I dare you. It's not gonna happen. 2,000 residents near the state's border with North Carolina walked off the job. So after the police force walked off the job, quote, "It is with heavy heart that I do confirm my resignation as chief of police of the McColl Police Department, along with all 4 of my fellow officers," Chief Bob Hale wrote on Facebook. "My personal decision to step away from the McColl Police Department can be attributed to repeated acts of harassment, personal attacks on my character, and the overall creation of a hostile work environment perpetuated by a specific councilman." So remember that. Hale added that the actions of the unnamed councilman made it impossible for the department to function effectively. Quote, "For months, I've endured unwarranted and malicious behavior aimed at undermining my integrity and leadership," Hale continued in the post. So this is insane. He sounds pissed off at the city.
I did it. He just might as well be like,
yeah.
This is after he died, right?
I think this is before he died, but after they quit.
Okay, so we're establishing motive.
It's, there's some fishy stuff going on. So, blah, blah, blah.
It shit sounds like just like they need like a gritty noir black and white detective.
They do.
Like one with like a peace pipe. He's like,
yeah, exactly.
This dame ain't smelling. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. One of those.
Except he's in a small town, middle of nowhere. He's actually like, you know what? I don't give a shit about. I got to get back to New York. This sucks over here. They have all their parties at the local Applebee's, and I just can't handle this shit anymore.
He's just a small town mayor who's a small-minded bigot, but he he didn't. I don't know. It just feels like there's a detective.
It's a black guy who's like, I get stared at every time I enter a business.
We're hearing his inner monologue.
No one's answering any of my questions.
There's many colored-only signs.
Starting to give me clues.
It's making it harder to.
Okay, let's get back in. These actions have not only affected me personally, but have also created a toxic atmosphere that has hindered the department's ability to function effectively. Despite our efforts to address these issues professionally and through appropriate channels, the harassment and hostility have persisted. In his statement, Hale also alleged that money was cut from the police department's budget and the other critical police needs were not being fulfilled. So they all quit together and mentioned that the had complaints about the department budget and the city was not meeting their needs, and that one councilman in particular was being hostile towards them. Now, I did more true crime podcast host Googling, and I found the councilman they're talking about, a guy named Harry Benjamin, and he was appointed to oversee to just check out what the department was up to, and he found like a bunch of normal stuff that you might find, like a whole bunch of money is going towards their overtime. And one thing in particular is he found that a hidden microphone had been placed in courtroom where he has meetings with the mayor regularly.
Damn.
And he couldn't say for sure that it was the cops who put the mic there, but the cops did know about the microphone, and cops probably in this small town of 2,000 are probably the only people who really have access to surveillance technology like this.
Dude, 2,000 people, that sounds like it's mostly cops.
Yeah. I mean, that's less than my high school. This shit is, still got a couple more things to read here. So this is another article by WMBF about it's titled "Nonprofit Planning to Patrol in McColl Calls for Investigation into Mayor's Death Amid Pushback." A national nonprofit that plans to send a group of volunteers to help McColl is now calling for a review of the death of the town's mayor. The 1 in 5 Foundation for Kids, formerly known as the Uvalde Foundation for Kids, announced Wednesday it will make a formal request to state law enforcement to look into the, quote, suspicious circumstances surrounding Mayor George Garner's death. The foundation specified it would ask the Marlborough County Sheriff's Office, the South Carolina Office of Inspector General, and the South Carolina Law Enforcement Division to do the review. Since the announcement, the foundation said it's received threats as a person from Bennettsville reportedly called from an unavailable number and told the nonprofit to mind its own business or face an accident. In addition to the threats, some in the community have voiced concern about the nonprofit coming to patrol their streets, including the sheriff.
Damn, they threatening everybody.
Yeah.
Okay, it's like it's gonna be tough to scare the Uvalde police.
So it's like it's a nonprofit that
but I mean, like,
centered around Uvalde police. So it's clearly a nonprofit that is not big fans of the cops.
Yeah, it's like how you go threaten that.
True.
It's like they know police pussy.
Yeah,
like we formed.
That's a great point.
Police pussy. You think we scared?
Yeah.
I just think it's crazy. It's just like, who's gonna the cops that resigned? Who's gonna? Well, first off, like to your point, they're threatening people and shit.
Yeah.
So this is just
we don't know who. Again, we don't know who made the threat.
What is happening in that city? Like,
yeah.
This
is why true crime exists as a genre. Someone go down there and make it. We're giving y'all a hot episode y'all can do.
That's how you know $300,000 in a city of 2,000 people is obviously
2,000 is so small.
Small, I know.
Go find a real place to live.
All of this is for $300,000 over 3 years. They're like.
$300,000 was from the other story, but that was also was also a small town.
Okay.
This is all small town shit.
Shit, they just we don't even.
This small town is a place where 4 cops can resign, and then you have no more cops.
Yeah, damn. I wonder, like, and then you can't even like the mayor, the cops that resigned. What mayor? I'm saying, what mayor would take them because it's just like they just killed.
Yeah,
a mayor.
You resigned because of a I was gonna say because y'all resigned because of a councilman was harassing you, but also you might have murdered or something. Even like I think if we're gonna go, let's go full on speculating here. I would say if they were trying to go after the mayor, and again, it wasn't the actual police who resigned; it was the deputy from the sheriff's office that I assume also has jurisdiction over this area that obviously the thin blue line they're obviously are friends with that. Because remember, the way the mayor was killed, he didn't get like shot in the back of the head or something like that. He crashed into an 18-wheeler during a pursuit. So it probably wasn't that if the cops were trying to fuck with the mayor, they probably did not want him to be killed. But it seemed like maybe something led to that. Yeah.
Whoopsie. You mean it was a whoopsies?
Well, they were pursuing him, and again, because they were trying to help him. Which this is where this whole thing centers around. The fact that the coroner was trying to quell everyone's worries by saying, no, they were just chasing him because they were concerned for his well-being. That makes no fucking sense. Yeah, that makes
zero sense. It's like we were roughhousing too hard. What the fuck? Like, it's just like, what do you mean they were chasing him to pursue him? Why are we all pursuing him? Why? Yeah. Who pursues to protect? No one
does that. If I'm like, hey, Ashton, I'm worried about you, and you're like, actually, I don't want to talk, and you walk away from me. Yeah. If I would let you. I'm not gonna like get on your knees now. I'm concerned about you. You know, like.
Yeah. Also, if this guy felt protected, he would have ran into the police's arms. He wouldn't have ran away. You don't run away from the things that you feel protection that are gonna protect you. You run towards protection.
Yeah.
Like. Oh fuck! It's raining. Let me get let me get out in the open. No, you run towards the dry part.
Yeah,
this doesn't. Yeah.
So this is the recent update we got. I'm reading from ABC 15. So former McColl police chief sues the town, alleges racial discrimination and retaliation. So this is not the police chief who resigned along with the rest of the department. This is the police chief that he replaced. So this goes deeper into the drama in this small town. A former McColl police chief has filed a federal lawsuit against the town of McColl, alleging racial discrimination and retaliation. The lawsuit says Xavier Williams was employed as the town's police chief from November 2022 to June 2023 when he was terminated, quote, without a legitimate, non-discriminatory reason for discharge. The suit says the town's late mayor, George Garner, and council hired plaintiff as chief of police for the town of McColl and, quote, then proceeded to harass, micromanage, discipline, and terminate plaintiff in a matter that discriminated against plaintiff based on race and disability. Now, it goes on from there, but the reason why this was interesting to me is because this former police chief makes that connection between the council and the mayor, because the police chief who resigned, he really focused on one specific council member. He was like the city council, one council member is the reason we're all quitting. Now, the police chief behind him has just put out a lawsuit on behalf of the police, on behalf of himself, but he is alleging that the police department was harassed by that same city council and the mayor. So here we got the mayor roped in into the city council that was harassing the police department.
Damn. So this wasn't even his beef. He just got dragged into the city council police beef.
Well, to me, it's saying that it is his beef, that he was involved. Because I'm trying to.
Dude, I'm so confused. I'm so confused. I'm like, so the ex-police chief, is that no, not the who's suing who? The ex.
I guess this is confusing. Yeah. So the original police chief. Yeah. He was like, we are resigning because of the city council, particularly this one city councilman who keeps harassing us. Yes, and then a week later, the mayor is being chased by a deputy and crashes and is killed. And then the coroner comes out and says, well, he didn't break any laws. The cops were just trying to help him out. So there's not a direct connection yet between the mayor and the police, like the police being mad at him. But now this new former police chief, he's also complaining about city council in the same way, and he's lumping in the mayor with city council. Okay. So here we have an example of the mayor being a part of the harassment campaign against this police department, at least their perceived harassment campaign.
So that may be why they would have had beef.
We just have evidence here that the mayor was lumped in with this city councilman who was perceived to be harassing this police department, who quit a week before the mayor died in a fiery accident while being chased by a deputy.
I wonder what's harassing the police department. Hey, can you stop murdering people? Or
stuff like that. I mean, it was stuff like, hey, you're charging too much overtime. You shouldn't be placing microphones, you know, and a thing, and like little other stuff. But
damn,
crazy story.
No, it makes me look at. You see a mayor who goes against the police, and you're like, damn, now he's dead. And then you go look at our mayor, and that nigga is just this motherfucker is just pure police. And look at him, just
exactly,
out club hopping every night, dancing, fully alive. This shit, it's just different story.
Different strokes for different folks, I guess. Yeah. But I guess we should give one, you know, R.I.P. Mayor Garner. You know, it doesn't seem like seems like a whole tragedy that he was killed.
Next mayor, install some V6 engines in your motorcade.
yeah, exactly.
V8.
We don't know what the fuck is going on over there. But and then lastly, speaking of Mayor Eric Adams, this is yours.
Oh shit, more bad. Let me open up Last story of the day, folks. Coming from NYC via the Gothamist. MTA Chief Security Officer Michael Kemper said the agency plans to use artificial intelligence technology to detect potential trouble or problematic behavior on our subway platforms. Yay.
Yay. More AI.
Yeah. That's right. That's what we need. Minority Reports, for real. Like, Kemper said he's working with AI companies to deploy software that can analyze real-time footage from subway security cameras and issue automated alerts to the NYPD if someone is acting out irrationally. He called the technology predictive prevention that can essentially identify subway criminals before they commit crimes.
Insane. How do you even... Do you listen to yourself talking right now?
You can't. I have to commit the crime for the crime to be a thing. It's like some fucking Schrodinger's crime
Hell
shit,
yeah,
man.
dude.
What do you mean?
And we already know like AI facial recognition is like worse for black people specifically. So it literally is Minority Report. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
they're like, oh, we know who did it.
And it's the NYP. It's combining AI with the subway officers, which is the worst, like,
exactly
worst thing you can give the motherfucker. I predict this churro lady is unlicensed.
Yeah, exactly.
Send 15 officers.
Yeah.
What the fuck? They're like, God, AI. Let me finish reading this shit. AI is the future. That is in the article. Kemper said during a committee meeting on Monday, we're working with tech companies literally right now and seeing what's out there right now on the market, what's feasible, and what will work in the subway system. So look forward to that. Diverting the resources that can be used to like actually help, like solve the problems like mental health crises and like those are resources that can be used to actually stop crime, but instead of just fun.
No, I think we should have automated gun turrets set up at every station for anyone who just hops right away. You're dealt with.
You don't think we should have more housing, NYCHA housing for the homeless people sleeping on the train, causing the quote unquote crime?
I think we should have more robot dogs with what are the type of guns the Gatling guns that spin and just deal with the hoppers and the homeless people at the source.
I think
the root of our problems.
Every time you cross the MTA into the MTA, you should be deputized and given a gun and allowed to shoot. Instead of see something, say something. You see something, you shoot something.
Exactly.
That's going to be the law.
You paid your fare. Well, thank you for being a good citizen.
Here's your gun. Go. But yeah, no. I'll just like this AI is already so stupid. Like they're not gonna. I just want to feed it the Michael Jackson bad video. And, oh no, Michael Jackson and Wesley Snipes. I predict a dance battle at the Hoyt Shimmerman stop. Send all units.
Yeah.
No.
And it's just like the predictive crime thing is so funny because it's like, cops also have predictive crime capabilities. It's all fucking racism.
Yeah.
And we know that AI does not, we know this in such an intimate way at this point that AI does not fix racism. AI just takes all our society's racist ass inputs and is racist. Yeah, duh.
We here asked ourselves, what if AI could racially profile? And, that's what we got the direct results with this omnipresent fucking AI cop in the subway now. It's like you don't feel safer. Like it's like for real, you do not. It's a not nomer, but like just miscalculation.
I just feel that human cops can't racially profile fast enough. Is there a way that we could streamline that racial profiling?
3 kids. I'm not about to do something racist. I was about to be racist.
Good. We're all growing.
I stopped the tracks. No, but yeah, you don't feel that. My thing is like you don't with the cops in the subway. Safety, you don't feel safer with cops everywhere. Safety is like how we're in the room. There's no cops in this room. Yeah. I feel safe. A cop being in this room, I would not feel safer. I would say, okay, what the fuck's going on? Like, you don't feel safer with all these, like, omnipresent, just like...
It's like
military.
it's only like tourists in New York. Like, you know how like tourists will come in and they're like, oh, they're like scared of every little thing because they just watch the news and they're like, oh my god, they're so scary. They're probably the only ones who feel safe with like, oh my god, I'm so glad there's a guy with a gun watching TikTok in that corner right now.
Security everywhere. I love it. And I don't that's not safe. I don't feel safe.
It's literally not safe.
It's like when your dad is just in the house drunk and he's got a gun.
Yeah,
like, you feel safe. We got a gun.
Yeah,
dude. The gun's out. Like, no, Dad, can you please put the gun away? We don't need like
just a cop with a gun camping on the other side of the turnstile like it's Call of Duty, just like waiting for a guy to hop. Yeah, it's like fucking. This is not safety.
Yeah, and also they're like, your experience with subway cops, they're liars, they're psychopaths. They just sit and they play Candy Crush. Not to just stereotype them, but that is 90% of what they're doing. Others, they're sitting there just behind the turnstile trying to the criminals that they're trying to catch are hoppers, and what they do is they literally just catch people after they hop. They don't prevent crime. They try to catch crime after it happens. This should tell you that NYPD's actual...
They're like Splinter Cell. They're like in the shadows, like trying to hide.
Literally.
Like, why are you doing that?
Their psychology is not to prevent crime. It's to catch crime. Because like you could see it when they try to stop hoppers. Stop hoppers. They don't stop hoppers. They catch hoppers. They could easily stand outside of the turnstiles, and as soon as somebody walks by, they see cops and be like, okay, I'm not going to hop.
Yeah, you mean like in the front of the turnstile, at the entrance of the at the entrance.
If you're standing there, guess what's going to happen? People are going to not hop. They're going to go right. But when you're standing behind, you're catching hopper. You're like, got you. You're not preventing crime.
Dude, you know how many times I've hopped the turnstile to see that I turn and then I see the cop was hiding in that exact corner where I couldn't see him, but he's on his phone. Yeah, and so I get away with it because he sucks.
Nice.
This is where our doctors are going to.
But AI is coming to the subway, and that's gonna be.
That's a wrap for our episode.
Yeah. So I hope you have a good weekend.
Enjoy yourselves.
I hope you enjoy that.
Join us on the Patreon.
Bye.
Appreciate y'all listening. Bye.